Sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Being clean and abundant, green hydrogen is touted as being one of the essential ingredients for a sustainable energy mix of the future. Yet there's a big invisible problem. It's a gas with a low volumetric energy density, and this makes its storage, transport, and operation complicated and expensive. But what if we could store hydrogen as a solid, on the cheap? A startup may have a solid technology that could speed up the energy transition. And spoiler, it's so good that it was actually banned. I'm Matt Ferrell. Welcome to Undecided. Hydrogen is a key driver for heavy-duty e-mobility applications like buses, trucks, trains, and ships. That's because these large-scale vehicles require an amount of energy that batteries just can't provide yet. However, a fuel cell doesn't need to be recharged like a battery as long as you can keep supplying hydrogen. The major advantages of a fuel cell electric vehicle are a long driving range and lower refueling time compared to a battery. This makes hydrogen an ideal fuel for long-distance transport. But there's still a problem. How do you store a high load of hydrogen safely and cheaply on board? Now, storing hydrogen as a gas requires high-pressure containers, which are both costly and more difficult to keep safe. Alternatively, you can compress it down into a liquid, but hydrogen starts boiling off at about negative 252 degrees Celsius or negative 423 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you want to keep it in that liquid phase, you need to cool it down and chuck it into a cryogenic tank, which is expensive to maintain. Compared to storing its liquid molecule, the solid storage of single atoms would incorporate a larger amount of hydrogen into a small volume. Plus, this approach wouldn't require high pressure or freezing temperatures, which makes it more cost-effective. This would be a low-cost way of increasing the driving range of hydrogen-powered vehicles, which could then compete with fossil-fueled cars and maybe even battery electric vehicles. That's why a great deal of research has been done on solid-state hydrogen storage applications. And normally you can bind hydrogen to a metallic compound through two common processes. We're talking about adsorption, when the hydrogen molecule or its single atoms gently link up with the solid surface. That surface is often referred to as the adsorbent. Another option is absorption. In this case, the hydrogen atoms go through the surface and bind to the internal structure of the absorbent. In both cases, you end up with what's called a metal hydride. However, the startup Plasma Kinetics has come up with a slightly different solution. As touted on their website, this is a three-prong zero-carbon technology which is doing multiple jobs: capture, storage, and delivery. Now, apparently this pot of gold, or hydrogen, has a higher energy capacity and lower cost than lithium-ion batteries, and you can recharge it in about 5 minutes. The company said they absorb the hydrogen from the air onto a light-activated nanoscale film, which is 10 times thinner than a human hair. This hydrogen sponge can trap the gas at a low temperature and pressure, which translates into a lower cost. Then you just need to put a spotlight under the film to take the hydrogen back out. That sounds amazing, right? Although just a bit oversimplified. So let's try to get a little more of a solid grasp on the technology. Now first, where did this idea come from? Well, back in 2009, Plasma Kinetics introduced their light-activated energy storage technology to the US Department of Energy, who first defined it as transformational. However, then they transformed their opinion a little while later into the label of disruptive. Apparently, their technology provides an energy source that falls under the US national security umbrella. And for that reason, the US government restricted Plasma Kinetics' patent until 2017, which obviously slowed down the company's progress. The company received explosive news when they found out that their business activity was limited by the international traffic and arms regulations as well. In other words, they can't sell their tech for missile fuel applications, which wasn't their target anyway. So what's all the fuss about? Well, Plasma Kinetics designed a nanophotonic filter that captures hydrogen onto an internal graphite-based structure at atmospheric pressure and ambient temperature. It's a whole lot to take in and digest there. Now, the device could extract metric tons per day of 99.9% pure hydrogen directly from smokestacks and gas streams and turn it into a solid state. But how's that possible? Before I get to that, I'd like to thank Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. I always recommend using a VPN when using public Wi-Fi, but VPNs can also be useful when you're at home. A lot of online services use some pretty sophisticated commercial targeting and tracking. A VPN can protect you from that. Surfshark's Clean Web does a great job blocking ads, trackers, and malicious websites, making it safer to use the internet, even at home. And you can make it look like your IP address is coming from a completely different country. This can come in handy if you want to stream a video that's only available from a specific location. And one of the best parts of Surfshark is that it's easy to set up on all of your devices, whether that's iPhone or Android, Mac or PC. Surfshark is the only VPN to offer one account to use with an unlimited number of devices. Use my code to get 83% off plus 4 extra months for free. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out for yourself. Link in the description below, and thanks to Surfshark and to all of you for supporting the channel. Now back to how plasma kinetics breakthrough is even possible. The secret behind this unbelievable invention seems to lie within their material that they used. A multi-layer shape memory alloy, or SMA, which is basically an alloy that remembers its shape once it's changed. Typically, you can mold this material at low temperature and get it back to its original shape by heating it. While it might sound like plastic, SMAs are just a mix of two metallic compounds like nickel and titanium. Two common examples of SMA applications are mechanical actuators and medical stents. As for plasma kinetics SMA, you have magnesium in it, and this alkaline earth metal is also the core component of chlorophyll. It's the substance that's used by plants to perform photosynthesis. That's the reason why the company's material interacts with light, and this property is the key difference when you compare light-activated hydrides to standard metal hydrides. The second type of materials also rely on reversible absorption for attaching their hydrogen atoms to the solid framework, but they need temperatures up to 200 degrees Celsius or 392 degrees Fahrenheit to release it. The company has described their device as a movie projector or a CD player. And whether in a cassette, a canister, or a disc, you just need to shine a laser light onto the hydrogen-filled film to release the guest star, which is the hydrogen. And that sounds spectacular, but how does it actually work? During the absorption cycle, the positively charged hydrogen atoms are attracted by the negatively charged sites within the film's nanopores. Because of the material photoactivity, when a laser hits the film, the light switches the polarity of the bond to positive, which frees the hydrogen atoms. That's the big benefit from their system. The desorption process occurs without heating up the material like conventional metal hydrides. As of today, hydrogen is obtained using energy-intensive and high-carbon processes like natural gas reforming or electrolysis. And that's why plasma kinetics' zero-carbon capture technology could have a massive environmental benefit for hydrogen production. But what are the plans for their captured hydrogen? By providing a longer-lasting yet lighter energy storage, the company is aiming to fuel the implementation of heavy hydrogen-powered mobile applications like boats, trucks, and electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, or eVTOL. While hydrogen-powered passenger cars aren't likely to catch on compared to battery electric, the way it's supposed to work with this tech is that you could buy a hydrogen-filled disc cartridge in a convenience store, and it doesn't require special safety storage like canisters of hydrogen gas, but I'll get to more of that in a second. But once it's empty, you return it and swap it for a fully charged one. The actual cartridge swap in the vehicle would just take a few minutes. Another huge market segment for this tech would be the decarbonization of energy grids, and that's because Plasma Kinetics' device can make green hydrogen even greener. The company's storage solution would host the surplus hydrogen created by renewable powered electrolysis. Some of the green hydrogen could be stored without requiring compression or liquefaction. You can then feed that clean hydrogen to fuel cells to convert it back into green electricity based on demand. This would fill the gaps in the clean power supply on cloudy days or when the wind isn't blowing, which makes our grid more flexible and resilient on renewables. And given its versatility, the film-containing canisters can be assembled wherever needed, like close to a wind farm, for instance. They could serve as low-cost backup storage for remote communities or function as a mobile microgrid for rescue operations. Now, capture and storage sound very promising, but what about hydrogen distribution? When it comes to delivery, a big plus for Plasma Kinetics' storage system is safety, as the hydrogen is carried in a non-flammable form. This means it can be shipped by any route without restrictions. Yet the leading edge of this enlightening hydrogen trap is that you don't need complex and costly infrastructure such as pumping stations and pipelines to spread the compressed gas around. And the system is also easily scalable from a single disk to a massive hydrogen library. Now, according to the company pitch deck, by loading their containers on a single ship, they can safely move 20,000 tons of hydrogen in one trip. In energy terms, that's enough to power 25,000 homes for a year. But how does their hydrogen storage innovation stack up to its competitors? When you compare it to something like lithium-ion batteries, light-activated hydrides seem to obscure them on all fronts. Besides having a higher energy density, Plasma Kinetics boasts that its technology can be 17% less expensive and 30% lighter than lithium-ion batteries for the same amount of energy stored. On the other hand, the light-activated storage unit has an efficiency up to 70%, which is a bit lower than the high-capacity batteries that range between 70 and 90%. Now, when ranking it against compressed gas systems, the battle is tighter. Although being slightly heavier than carbon fiber tanks at around 700 bar or 10,000 psi, The solid-state hydrogen containers are much easier and safer to handle than compressed gas vessels. Also, while Plasma Kinetics' design has a lower energy density than highly pressurized storage, their materials have a lower energy cost. Based on the company's estimates, using one of their light-activated hydrogen trucks instead of a compressed hydrogen-powered vehicle would save 20,000 euros a year in fuel costs. That's because the cost of solid-state hydrogen per kilowatt hour is 50% lower than compressed hydrogen. To add to that, unlike the Plasma Kinetics system, a compressed gas hydrogen truck would need a refueling infrastructure worth 2.3 million euros per station. I can hear you already. We get it. This tech is unreal, but what's the catch? Well, according to the company's founder, the only drawback is that you can't just plug in your car at home and recharge it like you can with a conventional battery electric vehicle. That's because you first need to feed the stored hydrogen back into a fuel cell to convert it into electricity. On top of that, while the cartridge or film can be used up to 150 times, the film isn't never-ending. That's because of deuterium, the hydrogen's fatter twin, which fills up the material's nanopores. But the discs are 100% recyclable, and you can even recover and sell deuterium to cover the recycling costs. Hydrogen will play a key role in the energy transition, but we'll only make the most out of it with viable and efficient storage technologies. Solid-state systems like this seem to be the way forward, and Plasma Kinetics is shining a green light at the end of the tunnel. But what do you think? Does it sound too good to be true? Do you think this is the shot in the arm that hydrogen needs to take off? Jump in the comments and let me know. And as always, thanks to my patrons and a welcome to new Patreon Supporter Plus member, Nick DiPaolo. Your direct support really helps with producing these videos. Now, speaking of which, if you like this video, be sure to check out one of the ones I've linked to right here, and subscribe and hit that notification bell if you think I've earned it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.